Hi printmakers, here's the last video that you're going to need for this at-home project where you're ultimately being tasked with creating a digital drawing of an image that relates to your mini series for this quarter. So you're working on your silkscreen monotype in the studio, this you're doing at home, and then we'll ultimately do one more screen print in the studio. This one you should know by now that your image is what you've already practiced with using Copic markers. The main change that I want to make clear is that we'll be using an online tool called Gravit Designer. I'll be demonstrating that in this video, and you can access it right here. If you have Procreate or Illustrator and you're comfortable with those programs, you're welcome to do this project using those programs. The examples on slides 59 through 64 of the overall slideshow will help guide you no matter what program you're using as to the ultimate goal of or the look of the images you're able to achieve. The hope here is that you're able to start reducing color and reducing design and keeping it within your aesthetic and concept. So bear with me, it's a lot, and for those of you that are tech savvy, this will be really intuitive and easy, and for some of you, this will probably be really frustrating. And so I do think it's important, despite the frustration, I'm not trying to do that on purpose. You might come across a situation where you need to utilize Illustrator or Photoshop. In this designer, from what I can tell and have played around with, it's very similar and actually very user friendly, and it's free. And so you'll begin by clicking on that link for Gravit Designer right here, and it will take you to this page, and you'll begin. I know that I'm doing the butterfly, so I'm going to click paper size, and I'm going to click US letter landscape. You can do US letter portrait if yours is portrait. And then it says something about a stylus, which I would love for you to use. I don't think it's going to work that well, but just click OK. So, and an ad pops up, and here we go. So first thing to know, when you're in any kind of digital format, whether it's Adobe Illustrator or anything, or this program or whatever, you need to pretend like this is an actual physical art table. So I'm going to first begin by doing Control and minus at the same time so I can see my table better. So here's my paper. Here's my gray table, just like we have a gray table in the art room. I have a set of tools here, just like you might have on the right, left, and top of your table. That's all very similar to the physical tools that you're really used to using. And so just consider and remember that as you're working, because when the frustration sets in, I think that can be really important, is just to remember, okay, think about this in reality like you did with the Copic markers. And I will say, if your Copic marker sketch ends up being significantly better than this, you can turn that one in, but I still want everyone to do this, so don't stop now. Okay, so here I am. I'm ready to begin, and unlike Microsoft Paint or whatever that paint program is that everyone used as a kid, I could actually import an image and I could draw over top of it. So I'm going to click the image here and get my butterfly in there. So there it is on my desktop. So you just need to find your image that you emailed to me that I printed for you that you did the Copic markers with. So to begin, I'm going to acknowledge that I have a new layer that just popped up over here. And you can see if I drag this over, the word layers. And that's really a very common tool in Photoshop and Illustrator. You're always working in layers, which is not different than layering like you've been layering in your silk screen. And what I want to think about for this layer, though, is that I don't really want to be drawing over this as dark as it is. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer, and then I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call that layer drawing. And I'm going to click on the eye here for the butterfly. That takes the butterfly away, and I'm going to click on the eye for the drawing, which is actually taking my butterfly away as well. Let me do one more layer. Let's just actually rename that just to be sure. We'll call that butterfly as well, and then we'll call layer 1, we'll call that drawing, because I want that to be its own, yeah, there we go, its own separate, totally separate thing. And so when the eye is crossed through, it means it's not visible. So I am ready to draw, and what I don't need is all this information over here right now. So I'm going to just focus on what I do need, and that's all going to pop up when I click on the tool that I'm going to use, which everyone's going to pretty much be using the freehand tool. It's right here. It looks like a calligraphy pen, and you're going to click on freehand. And now I have only what I really want to look at over here. Those popped up only once I selected that tool. So now I want to think about the border color at which I want to draw. So I'm going to begin with some of those yellowish colors. And so I could click on the eyedropper and pick out that yellow. I know that that is actually reduced opacity yellow. So I may click in and I just clicked on the circle is what I did if you missed that. And I'm going to click a color just like I would select a color. And it's important when you click out of this that you click not onto your art table. You don't want to be clicking around here because then you're going to have created shapes that you don't want to create, and I'll show you how to delete those later. So I am going to begin by just very roughly outlining, oh gosh, my first shape. And ooh, that looks bad, right? That's really frustrating. It was hard to do. Well, just bear with it. I know that it is really frustrating. So if I want to just create just an outline, I don't want to fill these shapes in, I would change my fill to 0. And I'll show you what that'll do. If I eliminate the butterfly layer, you'll see that if I kind of bring these dots back out of here, and I can do that by just clicking on the hand or any tool that's not the pen, and then I wasn't able to do this earlier, clicking off of there so that it traps that shape. We don't really want to be seeing all those white dots. That was just the path that you took to get to that point. And so let me click on here in order to get rid of that. This is one thing oh, there we go. I had to click the arrow. I'm sorry, not those arrows or that hand, it's that arrow. And then that creates a little shape. And the border should, there it is, it's yellow. That's what I was hoping it would be. Okay, so very rough little shape. Now, let's say I actually wanted to fill that in. I didn't want it to just be a linear drawing. I could click and say, no, I want that to match, or be close in yellow to the border that I had already selected. And now it's 100% and it's filled. So again, if I click off the butterfly, I can see a filled shape of that first yellow outline. This is where you may want to zoom in order to keep capturing these, what they're going to call paths. So I'm ready for the next one. It's on freehand tool, not pen. I'm going to try the stylus on this one and see how that goes, because ultimately the whole point of this was for y'all to use your styluses. Okay, it kind of drug down in a weird way, but now that I have my border and my fill set, it just kind of did it. And this, oop, I didn't want that to pop up though. So, let me click out. Okay, I'm going to continue that down and around. Now I'm back to the mouse. And again, bear with me on this because it can be a little frustrating kind of trying to figure out if the stylus is going to work. I really wanted that experience for you. Now look here what I just had to do. That shape was running into the other shape. I had to modify. I had to reduce. I had to make a choice. Even if you're going to spend hours on this, which is not what I'm necessarily wanting you to do, what you have to do no matter what is reduce and eliminate detail. Not because we're not detail-oriented people or because we don't care. It's because it forces you to do that, and that's part of what's going to make these designs look good and look manageable for an eventual silk screen, because this is kind of, again, getting you to think about how to reduce, in order to prepare for your silk screen. So now I've created a lot of paths under my folder of drawing. So if any of those you don't like, you could click on that one and delete it. So let's say I don't like this one I just did. Well, then I could just I would just not even delete it. I would just get rid of the eye of it, or I could delete. It doesn't matter. But what I want to see is, okay, where am I going so far? Oh, I deleted the fill of that one. So just like in my Copic marker demo, you could just do outlines, or you could really be blocky with the shapes, but you're going to build up tons of layers for your image digitally. And so really reduce as much as you can. Think about how the Copic markers worked, and rest assured that if that process looks so much better, then you can use that. So how to turn it in, because this is a free program. It would be nice to just click save and turn it in, but unfortunately, with all great things, there's got to be a cost. So you have to buy the pro version to do that. So we can get around that by just doing what I just clicked on was a screenshot or a snip, and I'm just going to click over this, of course, eliminating your, click on the eye so that your original image isn't there, and then you'll you'll save that, save as, and you can email that to me. So there we go. And actually, what it's nice with this, you can actually open with photos, I believe. Yeah, perfect. That's really ultimately we want it to be a photo file. And then I could click on save as from there, and you can email it to me. That should be intuitive from there. This is tricky. I'm not going to lie about that. Definitely want you to spend some time on it. It is a project, so it's not going to be a 15-minute thing. But you guys are way more tech savvy than me, so you'll probably get this like really fast, and it'll be easy for you. It's harder for me to do it. So you all should be just fine. Okay, hopefully you've made it this far, and good luck, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thanks so much.